Hey folks, good afternoon and welcome back to the 55th Annual AEA Convention and Trade Show. As we've noted, this is where all the really cool stuff happens, and it's still happening as we speak. We're going to take a jump here from general aviation as the topic of the first order of the first hour, and start getting into more and more of the business aviation community. One of the things that we noted, especially as business people have to fly from place to place, that there's just no way to get away from the office, that no matter what, you've got to be able to communicate, and especially when you're as mobile as the business aviation community has been. Under the top of innovation and better ways to do things, TrueNorth Avionics came to our attention. We had a chance to work with Mark Van Berkel and his people a couple of weeks ago, looking at what you were doing with your product line and all. And the first thing I wanted to ask Mark was, why this industry, why this product, why now, and more important, what are you bringing to this mix that nobody else has?
Yeah, those are good questions actually, Jim. And I guess I'm to blame for all of these CEOs that now never have any downtime. You know, it used to be you could get in your airplane.
So
and
you're the guy that's pictures on all the dartboards?
Yeah, exactly. I'm the guy that the most hated man in corporate America or something like that. But one of the things is, you know, I've been right down to my soul, I've been involved in aviation. And even when a kid, you know, going to the airport with my father, and we'd take a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken to watch airplanes land, and I always wanted to fly, right? And actually, I wanted to be a pilot when as part of it, and I am a pilot. I'm an IFR rated private pilot. I fly a Cirrus SR-22 myself.
Cirrus power.
and we do that, yeah, knuckle bump or something. But so, you know, aviation's been in my blood from the beginning. And how I started off in this business is early on. I'm also a real techie thing. You know, people might not know that about me, but I'm a real, you know, techie, geeky type guy. I love every widget, gizmo, and stuff like that. But I was really involved in electronics, and I wanted to fly. And there was like an epiphany I had early on in my life. It's like, aircraft electronics, it's unbelievable. So I was involved in this since I've been a kid. Okay, and I you know, went to school, and I graduated, and then I got into the avionics business, and I spent many years, you know, working on everything from small general aviation, propeller-driven stuff, all the way up to Challenger aircraft and big, you know, heavy iron type jets. And that's actually how I got in the satellite communication business. I was working at Transport Canada, and I was the chief avionics specialist, and the Prime Minister of Canada needed to have satellite communications on his airplane. Nobody knew anything about it. It was brand new. It was, you know, kind of the mid-90s at that point, and I was tasked with the job. And that's kind of how and from that point, from the mid-90s, I've been solely working in satellite communications, connectivity options, and I've seen it evolve, you know. I've seen it evolve right from the day, you know, today at the new product announcements, or the keynote thing, there was the lieutenant colonel who flew Air Force One. I remember that day and the next day when we were building satellite communication equipment. I worked at EMS Technologies, and we got the call from Tommy Franks, who needed to have satellite communications on his airplane like now. So like September 12th. That's how. And so
and you can have it here by the 13th.
That's exactly how immediate it was. And that, you know, and it just totally blew out from that. I saw an opportunity early on, you know, and our company's 6 years old. We're not the oldest company, but that's a good thing. And I saw an opportunity that connectivity, networking, you know, that internet thing, being able to use your Blackberries, being able to use your iPhones, iPads, and any mobile device was the future. And that's how come I took the risk and actually started TrueNorth, you know, with that whole convergence. And there's a little bit of a story about TrueNorth. The name TrueNorth. TrueNorth is where the convergence of all the lines of latitude and that come together. And that's the same thing with the convergence of all the technology coming together. It's one single system working on the airplane. It's not multiple things. And that's one of the things
we're basically talking geek poetry here.
Geek poetry, yes, exactly.
Okay.
But, you know, maybe I overthink that sort of stuff too much, but that's kind of where.
Oh, in this business, there's no such thing as overthinking it. Come on now. Oh, man. Wow. Okay. So
I've been involved in this, and how we've been innovating is really trying to help business people be more successful. You know, the aircraft is a ultimate business tool, and you can be very, you know, efficient. We want people to be more effective. So communication from the aircraft means you can be more effective. Your time. I just read an article recently about how a CEO who spends 600 hours on the aircraft is like 1 month more productive than his counterpart because he's using that business aircraft as a tool.
Whoa! And for a big-time CEO, that's a lot of.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
well,
that's a big deal.
It's no accident that the top Fortune 50 companies in the world all have flight departments, and actually one third of those companies use TrueNorth on their airplanes. So we're so far we're trying to make it 100%, but 1/3 is actually pretty good.
We got faith in you.
So
interesting. So that being the case, what is the mission that requires this type of communication? Give me an example, if you would, of why this is necessary, and more important, how this fits in to the truly mobile, the truly effective, and the truly communicative business person.
Well, again, a really great question, Jim. But how, it's not just all business. Business people spend a lot of time away from their families, and we're finding that they want to connect back. They want to be able to, connect back with their family, because they're away. They might want to do a Skype from the aircraft and connect with their daughter, or they might want to do a video chat and that. And these are all technologies that are all very, very possible today. The last 10 years has changed, the landscape of the internet has changed everything, how we communicate generally. But more and more, the mission is not just the business thing. Yeah, being in touch with your business, keeping in touch, being able to keep your finger on the pulse of your business is absolutely very important, but also the other lifestyle things that come with that. Being able to connect back to your family, being able to, video chat. I have a son right now, he's in Europe, and we text back and forth. He sends me links, pictures and stuff like that. That's just brilliant. And I can, with the technology, actually, you could even still be connected on your airplane.
Interesting. So, your announcements today. Let's go over what you announced today.
Okay.
First of all, you, as part of the new product introduction, of course, you were out there with a number of other people announcing new products, so forth and so on. Before we actually get to the product itself, what process do you undertake before you're willing to take the investment and publicly saying, this is what we're going to build, this is what we're going to manufacture, this is what we're going to put in your hands?
Well, the first thing we do is we talk to our customers. We have a good knowledge of what our customers are looking for, and we're very focused, right? So we understand, we're not in commercial aviation. We typically deal with the aircraft owner, customer who has a $25 million and up type of jet. That's really our focus, our target customer.
Okay.
And so we understand what their needs are. So we talk to them, we hear back from them, and some of the things that we're hearing, and this is why we developed our Stylus product that we announced today, is that more and more business aviation is growing into China, it's growing into India, it's growing into Russia and globally. Well, these people want to be able to communicate in their language. That's why one of the key requirements of the Stylus was it to be multilingual. Okay? In addition to that, we also hear very often
can I back up for a second?
Sure.
When you talk about a device being multilingual,
yes?
What does that really mean?
It means that you can operate the device in Arabic or Chinese or Russian or Greek or Italian, whatever. It's really multilingual, and the way we've executed that is very novel. So when the dealers install the product, it's really just a menu selection, and the operator of it gets to see the language of his choice. So it's really quite brilliant. And we're seeing that as we grow and as the world becomes smaller and more global, that we see that. It used to be that 90% of all the aircraft were in the United States anyway, so English was the choice. But now we're starting to see growth markets opening up in India and China, and that's really where the growth of business aviation is happening.
Interesting. Okay, well, tell me about the Stylus.
Okay, so Stylus, I told you about being multilingual, but also it has a really great ability to be able to be customized. One of the things that we find out from our customers and dealers is that this is a very customized industry. You buy a Gulfstream, you want it to be your Gulfstream.
Yeah.
You don't go in there and just pick A, B, or C.
Yeah.
Right? You get to choose what you want to, rightfully so.
Give me the Leopard package. Yeah,
exactly.
Not going to happen. Yeah.
Exactly. So one of the other key things with Stylus was it had to be customizable. It had to be able to be customized to be part of the aircraft. So what we've done is we have the ability to have custom inlays developed for the customer. Almost any material can be inlaid. So it could be leather, it could be leopard skin if you wanted it to be. It could be, but a glass, a nice Gorilla Glass like on the back of an iPhone type of thing is very common. Carbon fiber, it could be plated with gold in that. And so that was one of the other key things, was that it be customizable for the aircraft that it's being installed in.
Okay. Now, in developing these products, who do you work with? How do you build the intellectual database, if you will, to understand that you've got what people really want?
It's a lot of talk. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of knocking on hangar doors, talking to operators, talking to to the chief pilot, talking to the directors of maintenance, talking to the people who operate the aircraft, and understanding how that aircraft is going to be used.
I'll be darned.
One of the other things I'll just mention too is, as a companion to the stylus, we've developed something called My Stylus.
Mm-hmm.
It's an iPhone application that allows you to walk on the airplane and use your iPhone just like the stylus. So exactly,
I'm ready.
You'll be able to load it on there, connect up to the Wi-Fi network, but again, the prime requirement was that is, I want to be able to call from my phone book, right? And there's been other people in the industry who are touting a smartphone, but we actually believe, and this is a bit different, that the best smartphone is the one you just brought on the airplane. You don't want to have to load your contacts onto the smartphone that's on the aircraft, or even try to learn
Yet
that.
another device to learn.
Yet another
No,
device to learn, exactly. And that was why, again, one of the driving requirements was I want to use my device. I want to walk on and have that simplicity and be able to use a device that I'm comfortable with.
What kind of certification issues do you have to deal with to bring this kind of equipment to market?
Well, we do everything to RTCA standards, so all of our equipment is DO-160 qualified, and we do that actually in Canada. The Canadian Space Agency in Canada, David Florida Labs, we've done all of our certification through that. But we go through the STC process. We work with a dealer or an aircraft manufacturer, and we do an STC as part of that. But coincidentally, we just have gone through our AS9100 certification. So we're a company that is just pending AS9100 Rev C, which is a big deal for us. But we're also Transport Canada Car 561, so we're a certified manufacturer under Transport Canada. So every part that we manufacture is a certified aeronautical product. And we're also a Transport Canada approved maintenance organization, so we can repair that. And a EASA Part 145 repair station as well.
Outstanding. What is the market teaching you now that you're working with them directly? I mean, it's one thing to have a product, it's one thing to talk to people, it's one thing to offer it, it's another to start getting feedback from folks that you're doing business with on a daily basis. Are you satisfied for the moment that you've got a handle on what's going to happen? And if that's the case, where do you think it goes from here in regards to airborne telecommunications?
Well, this happens to be a market that has grown. As you know, over the last few years, this market has really, really exploded. Connectivity, hindsight being 2020, we started the company in the worst possible economic conditions, but we flourished actually over these conditions because connectivity has been the big thing that operators have been putting on their aircraft and spending money there. To be honest with you, I wish I had a crystal ball. I wish I knew what was next. Who would have thunk that the iPad was going to have such a huge impact on aviation as it has? The only one thing I can tell you for sure is there's going to be change. And that's actually the great thing about our system. We did everything software defined. We didn't develop one piece of hardware and sold it, another piece of hardware and another piece of hardware. We developed a platform and we put applications on it. Much like the way you run your iPad here, when you want to do something else, you don't run back down to the Apple store and buy another iPad, right? You buy an application. That's a very common thing. When we started the company, 6 years ago, people didn't understand what applications could do for them. So we developed a system that was going to be application-based. So as things unfold into the future, as they are going to, we have applications that are going to meet the needs of business travelers into the future. So we're going to develop new applications for the next new device that comes out.
Is there any trending you're seeing right now in regards to this kind of market?
Wi-Fi is, everybody wants Wi-Fi on the airplane to do a myriad of things, not just for, believe it or not just to be able to connect to get your email or do your video chat and all that. They actually now want to be able to print over Wi-Fi, right? And so they want to be able to print the documents that they've got or print things out that are there. They also want to be able to share files between devices. They also want to be able to get in-flight entertainment type of things. And the in-flight entertainment market is changing significantly too. The bring your own device market, I mean, as you know, with these types of technology, you can download, put videos, music, whatever you want to watch, when you want to watch it, it's right there in your briefcase.
I'll tell you what, it's got to be a fascinating thing to look at what you're doing and trying to think about what you have to do next to not only be competitive with the market per se, but with your own ambitions for the market.
You're absolutely right. And like I said, I wish I had a crystal ball and I wish I knew exactly what the next thing was going to be. But certainly it's absolutely a dynamic market, because every time when we think that you've got this thing figured out, there's somebody who comes around with something that you have never seen before and says, I want to be able to use this on my airplane. And you say, okay, let's look at that. What do we have to do? What infrastructure we need to do to build, and what application do we need to develop?
Interesting. Well, as we get ready to go to break here, one of the things that we've been asking various folks have been able to sit in the right seat here is a little bit of their outlook, if you will, both from the standpoint of this particular convention and the industry as well. And what's nice is that you actually straddle two different areas, both as a GA pilot and your Cirrus, as well as working with a fair amount of the high-end business community. And I would assume any $25 million and up business jets are fairly high-end, at least from my standard and my lowly little Cirrus. AEA 2012, the state of the avionics industry. Your thoughts?
Actually, I'm very encouraged by the industry over the last couple of years. Like, as I've said, we've seen a lot of growth. It's changed. The classic avionics, that whole market has changed, and I've seen that change. I mean, when I started in this business, it was tubes and transistors, and people were doing bench repairs, and that's all gone now to where it's modules and that. And you send the equipment back to the OEM to have it actually serviced and repaired when you need to. But I'm actually very encouraged about the economy. I'm very encouraged about aviation in general. I think, though, as an industry, and I love Paula Dirk's keynote address today.
Oh, gosh.
I thought it was fantastic. But we have to take responsibility for the future of business aviation and aviation in general. We have to stand up for it. We need to do those things because it's important. It's important to North American economy. It's the one really good thing that Americans do very, very well. And we need to hold that precious, and we need to make sure that we continue to breathe life into this and not let it just go offshore. We need to make sure that we are supporting other North American-based and American-based companies and buying those products and building that up, but also encouraging others to just share flight. Her remarks actually made me think, there's probably about 3 or 4 people I need to take in my airplane to show them how much better their business could be if they just use the Cirrus in the way that I do. I don't own a $25 million business jet either, but it's an amazing tool.
Exactly. I'll be darned. Well, first of all, Mark, thanks so much for your time and the opportunity to take a look at what you're trying to do right now to improve the lot of folks who are trying to keep the jobs going, use aviation to its best effect, and build better businesses for the future. So, folks, we're going to take a little bit of a break here for a few minutes while we get ready for Dan Rada from Universal Avionics. We've got Kevin Gould from Bendix King coming up here shortly, and a number of really interesting guests to fill out the next few minutes. More in the theme of innovation here on the floor of the 55th AEA Convention and Trade Show, just outside of Washington, D.C. at the National Harbor Gaylord. For Aero-News and Aero-TV, we'll see you all in just a few moments.
Aero-TV's live coverage of the 55th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.